phones.
That is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
WKBW, if you could mute your phone, or your computer.
Well,
Test.
I'm pretty sure they're literally recording a phone that he's at. Like, yeah. He's on a phone that they are recording from.
All right, are we set to begin?
Yep, Commissioner, whenever you're ready.
All right. We'll have the mayor. Will the mayor start first?
Commissioner, I'm going to have you lead off, please.
All right,
okay?
very good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Apologize for a little bit of a delay today in starting the update. Obviously, some technical difficulties as you're seeing. So our first update of the storm that is upon us now, as we talked about yesterday in the press conference, the storm has hit with some fury right out of the gate. To recap where we are, we have a state of emergency in place in the city, and then driving bans in the city and county at this point in time. So I've been driving the community all morning this morning, and I'll just report back some of the things that you all know, but we're seeing. So, high winds and snow bands are causing extreme visibility issues at times. Driving down the 190 was getting some spray from the winds on the river, and visibility when it was even down here parked next to City Hall was really close to zero at times. That snow band seems to have shifted maybe a little bit more north. We're hearing some of the visibility issues are a little bit more in the northern part of the city right now, but conditions here at City Hall where I am at are windy and snowy. So early this morning, we've had a number of calls come in for trees down. 20 calls really before 9 a.m. and even the winds really picked up. So those crews are working. The high winds are keeping us out of buckets at this point in time, so we're operating on the ground to try to do what we can do. Power outages and communication with National Grid. We have numerous power outages across the county and in the city as well. I think at 10 a.m. they had an estimated 3,000 to 3,200 residences were without power. And again, we're just seeing some very difficult road conditions. The rain, which we had overnight into this morning, did indeed freeze with that flash freeze that came through, dropping the temperature by about 20 degrees or so in a matter of 2 hours. So road conditions became icy. The high winds are causing the water to rise on this end of the lake with the Sage. So we've had a level reported over 9 feet at the Coast Guard station. So that's given us some flooding. Driving down the 190, Braddock Park was flooded at that point in time, and I know we're seeing a little bit of flooding in some of the usual places as well. So from an update, our DPW crew is out. Like I said, the Parks and Forestry team are out as they can, handling the trees. Our streets crew is on the roads right now. Visibility is still okay for them to operate, so they are out and about taking care of the roadways as best they can. Mains and secondaries, of course, is the focus. Our engineering team is working on those aspects of flooding and power outages. We have seen a number of power outages affect street lights and some street poles knocked over, some light poles knocked over. So no one should be out with the driving ban, but as a reminder, if you are out, to everyone, a power outage at a signal is a 4-way stop mandatory. So please, if you could communicate that to everybody. And just a general with the driving ban, no one should be on the roads unless you're essential employees of the city in those departments or first responders. We really need everybody to stay off the roads, safe during this time, allow our crews to operate effectively. So from the DPW side, that is an update from here. So I think we're still having some technical difficulties. So at this point in time, maybe we'll just open, we'll go down and open for questions from the media. So I'll maybe go to, I'm just looking at my screen, channel 2 first, if you have a question. All right, channel 2, if you're going to ask a question, you're on mute. I don't hear a question there. Channel 4.
Nate, could you maybe just answer the question about,
Oh, there you are, Jeff. Okay.
the driving ban? There's so many people out there on the roads in terms of the driving ban, in terms of enforcement of the actual driving ban. How will that play out?
Yeah, it's a thanks, Jeff, for the question. We are coordinating with the police department on that enforcement. It is difficult. It is a driving ban, and I know the instincts with a lot of people are to be out at this weekend, especially this time of year around the holiday, to be out to see their family and friends potentially. We need people to adhere to that. We're just coordinating with the police department on how best to enforce that. It's really an individual personal responsibility to really follow that driving ban. And that's what we ask and request. It's really for the individual residents of City of Buffalo safety, ultimately.
And then there's a lot of concern out there, of course, about the high winds and tree limbs coming down, trees potentially coming down. Have you heard any major reports of trees coming down and there being power lines down as well?
Yeah, like I said, there's about 32, between 3,000 and 3,200 power outages at the moment from National Grid. I do not know how many of those are related to trees necessarily, but obviously some wires down and causing those outages. We've had reports of a couple of trees early in this morning, one on a house and one in the street. So a couple of light poles have been blown over into the street as well. So I don't have the specifics, but I know those things are happening. And again, we're early in the storm. We're in the first few hours of the winds really picking up today, and these will be prolonged winds. So we're anticipating potentially more significant reports of trees down over the course of the storm. Maybe channel 4, I tried to pick you up a few moments ago with the question. Anybody from channel 4?
What about plows out there, Nate? In
Yeah.
terms of them maybe being taken off the roads, do you see that happening potentially? And if so, how long could that play out for?
Yeah, you know what? That's going to be really dependent on the weather conditions. I just talked to our Deputy Commissioner of Streets, Henry Jackson. Our plows are actively out now, and as I look out my window, visibility is relatively good right here at City Hall. So as the visibility, is good, our plows will continue to roll on the streets. When it gets to zero visibility, and that is an individual decision based on the driver and where they are in the city, the visibility is going to be affected at different times and different parts of the city. So that's a personal, individual decision that we need to put in their hands. So when it's visibility is that bad and poor where they cannot see, they will be instructed to pull over for their own safety and the safety of the residents if anybody happens to be out. So we anticipate that potentially will occur again as the conditions worsen potentially.
What about the situation down at Canal Side? What have you guys been seeing and hearing so far? And what do you expect it to look like throughout the rest of the day and the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the winds and water are going to continue to be an impact. Again, we're in the early stages, so we're going to be monitoring that. We've got our DPW crew out, our engineering team out, so we're seeing some flooding in some of those areas that are closest to the water. With that height of the stage that we already talked about, it peaked a little bit and has gone down, but we imagine it will stay relatively high. So we're going to continue to see most likely some issues along any of the waterfront areas.
Commissioner, you mentioned the 3,200 people without power. Are those in the city, all in the city?
Yeah, and that's a rough number as of 10 a.m. this morning. National Grid, as we know, has mobilized their teams throughout the course of the storm. So they'll be, they'll be working on outages as they occur. So, an hour and a half ago, that was the number. That may be up or down. National Grid keeps pretty good stats, and they've got an outage map, so I could reference everybody there. But those were in the city. Sorry, that was your original question. So those were city residents at that point in time.
And you said the temperatures went down like 20 degrees in 2 hours. Do you know about what time that happened in the city?
You know what? I don't have that specific timing, but I know, that roughly 8 a.m. when the storm really, when the front came through and the transition from rain to then the freezing elements and then the snow, that was the 7 to 8, 9 o'clock timeframe when that temperature started to drop.
And you mentioned the plows being out. Is there more of a concern with this particular storm with the winds than the snow as opposed to the last event that we had in November?
Yeah, we're going to see an impact differently. Those were, some winds, but that was really a snow event. This will be a blizzard event, which is snow and high winds combined. So the visibility will be an issue, and the high winds will affect, lake effect snow and the amount of snow that might fall or might not fall, depending on how those winds break up the snow band or move the snow band. So we're going to anticipate some heavy amounts of snow in certain areas, depending on how the winds and the band are. And then we'll see a lot of blowing and drifting snow as a result as well.
I know you guys don't want anybody out on the roads, but if we're looking at long-term outages here, no heat, freezing pipes, does the city have any plans when it comes to warming shelters or any options for residents who may be impacted?
Yes, we do. Just bear with me a moment. We've got warming shelters. I'm just referencing my computer. Lincoln Community Center and Hennepin are open as warming centers today, and adding to our normal Code Blue sites. So it is something that we prepared for ahead of time.
Nate, Commissioner,
Oh,
let me jump in here, and I apologize, everyone. I'm having some technical difficulty with the video on my computer, but we know that it will be difficult, even though we have the 2 warming shelters that are set up. It will be difficult to get people to the warming shelters. This is where we're asking for neighbors to step in. We don't want seniors and people without power to have to try to travel too far by car to a warming shelter. So if neighbors can help out, if family members that are close by can help out, that would probably be a better option given the conditions that we're seeing outside right now.
And do you know, is National Grid at this time able to get up in the bucket trucks to be making or getting these outages restored? Or is this looking like something that could be a long-term impact?
Don't know the answer to that right now. I just not long ago got a message from National Grid. I believe Commissioner Martin received the same message. As of 11 o'clock, there's still 3,600 out of power in the city of Buffalo. I know that National Grid said earlier, if the wind conditions were too severe, they would not be able to send their workers up in a bucket truck. Right now, the winds are pretty high, and I would assume that will have an impact on what National Grid is able to do. Commissioner, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, no, that's Mayor, you said it exactly right. That's going to be a conditional element with National Grid crews on what they assess at each scene.
And Mayor Brown, you've been in office for 16 years. Can you ever remember a storm with so much sort of anticipation beforehand here? They're calling it a once in a generation event. And are there anything that you're drawing from past experience as something that would be instructive as far as how to fight this?
I've not seen, Charlie, a storm described like this and um, operating quite the way that this storm is operating. Extremely high winds, blizzard conditions, blowing and drifting snow, some accumulation of snow. So we haven't really seen a storm exactly like this. Obviously, we've seen storms during my tenure that have been pretty severe. During my time living in Buffalo, I've seen very severe storms. This one is a little different, which is why a driving ban has been imposed, why we're asking people to stay off the roads and stay home. This is a very dangerous storm with the combination of elements that we're seeing right now.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome, Charlie. Thank you.
Other questions from the media?
Will you be holding regular briefings throughout the day or later this afternoon that we can expect and plan for?
Mayor, I didn't know if you wanted to field that one or not, so.
We will be holding additional briefings. At this particular time, we don't have a briefing scheduled, but we will let all the media know in advance so you can plan and prepare for the next briefing that we're going to hold. So we will be having a later briefing. Right now, we don't have the scheduled time.
Just a question about the plowing. I know that, maybe the amount of snow is less of a concern than the winds right now, but after the last storm, you guys had talked about working out some kinks with the new software for the GPS plowing. How's that coming? And you think should people be looking at that during this storm, or are you still sort of working on it?
No, you know what? We have been improving since the last storm. We've been working on the GPS system constantly. We've been monitoring each and every unit, improving their connectivity, which we've been working with our third-party group on that. In addition, the reporting element, that public-facing feature, we've continued to work on that in cooperation with the partner. So it's up and active. It's operating. At this point in time, when we are experiencing these high winds and the visibility issues, and it's just dropped to zero visibility outside of City Hall here, the progress of our equipment will be limited by the visibility and safety. So we're going to be working those streets when visibility allows, and that system is active and operational.
I also want to mention temperatures are expected to potentially drop to -8 degrees tonight. And, we want to emphasize that people should not be driving. They should not be on the roads. If you get caught in whiteout conditions and you go off the road, it's going to be very uncomfortable out there. And you potentially could be waiting for some time for someone to get to you to rescue you, because this is also a dangerous situation for emergency first responders.
Any other questions?
Commissioner, I think we can end the briefing.
Very good. All right, thank you very much, everyone. As the mayor indicated, for next briefing, which we will be scheduling, we'll get that out to everybody in advance so we can have a coordinated briefing as well. Thank you very much.